your town. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of
Oh,
aliens?
yes.
Well,
It
you
is
should
back
be, 'cause aliens
by
are
unpopular
all
demand.
aliens are here to take
Hey, everybody, it's
over.
JBird doing the Alien / Bigfoot / Weird Ghost / Nessie podcast. Don't even know what the name of it is anymore. How the hell are you guys doing?
Really good.
We've got Ryan Beckett in the house.
I like the new intro. I haven't heard that song yet.
Really? We played it last week, but I don't think you had your
He
headphones
didn't have his headphones in yet.
And I cut it off, so
I'm ready
you'll-
to rock now.
Yeah, I'm still trying to learn this board here on the radio side of things. We also have a special guest, Vicky. Vicky, what's your last name?
Burnett.
Burnett. And what is? Go ahead and tell everybody your resume.
My resume is I am a psychic medium paranormal investigator. I've had my own team since 2007. I also did a paranormal talk radio show for a couple years on WBZT.
She's legit, Beckett. What do you got to say about that?
I'm interested. Like I was saying before the show, I was kind of messing around last night. I didn't find anything, but I wanted recommendations from you guys or the audience on some movies, YouTube videos, things that, because I'm coming into this with an open mind. So anything that, might help me delve a little deeper into it.
Have you seen the classics like Poltergeist and
When I was a kid, but it
Shining?
freaked me out. Those things.
Poltergeist is a horrifying
that's a
one.
good one. The first one. I don't know about the others.
The Ring really freaked me out, though.
Okay, so
Those
you.
Japanese people, like they love
They're
the
pretty
scary
freaky.
stuff. Yeah.
So Beckett wants the Hollywood version of the ghost stuff. We
Gotcha.
can get you a list.
I'm
of
into
it.
some nerdy documentaries too. It doesn't have to just be like some blockbuster movie.
Right off the bat, the best alien documentary out there is I Know What I Saw. If you're into aliens, if you're into UFOs, I Know What I Saw is the best documentary to me. It's got the most proof. It's got people of importance talking about it.
Okay.
And of course, we also have producer Dennys in the building.
What's up?
How's it going, Dennys?
Yeah, I'm chilling.
Very, very nice. So we got a lot of emails from our last podcast. And the first thing we got to figure out, what the hell are we calling this thing?
Did we get any suggestions?
We did get suggestions.
You didn't like any of them?
Some are good,
Some are
some are
good.
bad. Tell me which ones you guys like. Vicky, please chime in too. Tell me which ones you like, which ones you don't.
Well, you can always name it after my old show. You just call it Point Paranormal Radio.
Well, we don't want to poach. We don't want to poach your ideas. We have got the Alien Asinines. That was a little insulting.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot Boys.
No, I like that one.
The Squatch Squad. And this was actually my favorite. Jennifer Biddles says, call it Weird and Whatever.
The Weird and Whatever podcast. I like that one.
That's
You like
pretty
that
good.
one?
Yeah. The other ones are too focused. That's kind of more all-encompassing.
Because that's what this is all about. It's about aliens, ghosts, Loch Ness Monster. Someone wanted us to talk about Middle Earth people. Some people want to talk about the Goat Man. We'll talk about it all. The one thing I do want to talk about, Vicky, explain a little bit what your ghost team does, because someone did contact me and said, look, we've definitely got spirits at my house.
Okay.
What the hell do I do?
right,
Someone's
the-
struggling out there. Give them advice, please.
All right, well, the first thing is don't investigate your own house. That's the number one rule, because you were talking earlier about movies to watch. If you watch the original Paranormal Activity, one thing that he does is he starts investigating his own house, and that's when he really opens up a whole can of stuff. So if you do think that you have some kind of phenomena in your home, contact a reputable team. And I say that because we are all human beings that bring our own energy into everywhere that we go, and you have to make sure that the people coming into your house are going to bring in the right energy to find out what's going on. If you have people who are negative coming in, that's what they're going to find.
Not to derail anybody here, but these microphones are really low, Dennys. Is there anything we can do? Or can you guys maybe talk louder?
I need to use my teacher voice.
Use
There
your
you go,
There
there
you
you
go. You too, Beckett. Use your teacher voice.
Got it.
You ever see Paranormal Activity 1?
I did. I watched some of those like shows on TV where they bring in the meters and they kind of, I've been
That's what-
She's got all
That's
that
what Vicky
stuff.
does. In fact, let me play you. Now, this is what we call an EVP. What is an EVP, Vicky?
Electronic voice phenomena. It's when we capture voices that we did not audibly hear at the time that we recorded it.
All right, now you have to really, really listen. But you hear what I think, and I believe what you think was a little girl. Did you not find stuff at my, according to ghost rules and the stuff that you
Yes.
use, you definitely found stuff at my place?
Yes, we found actual paranormal evidence that you had something going on.
What do you have to say about that, Beckett?
She said not to do your own place. She said you're going to open up a can of worms.
He didn't. He was just there. We came in and
Yeah, I had
did
them
it.
come in. Now, I do
Now,
have. I did do my own stuff. I did try to dabble.
But not when we were there.
Yeah.
And I got lectured by many people, don't dabble. But yeah, this is a EVP from when we did this at one of my places. I believe you investigated 3 of my places.
3 of them, yeah.
How many places had ghost activity?
All 3 of them.
Boom, Beckett.
How many places do you own?
No, I own none of them. Rented throughout
gotta
the
get
year.
into
Oh,
radio.
yeah. No. It's so deceiving.
My summer house.
All right. Hopefully this you guys can hear this. All right, really gotta listen.
If that was you, can you please?
What's going on, Dennys? Let me play that again. I don't think that worked.
If that was you,
I can hear it.
Okay, everyone talked over it though. After she says, "Is that you?" you hear something go. You hear a whisper. Try to tell me if you can hear this or not.
if that was you,
Ah.
can you please? It actually sounds more like "come here."
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Beckett?
Yeah.
You did.
I did.
If that was you, can you please?
Now, the naysayers are going to say this. It's probably John, the camera guy in the back. And you're only going to go with what Vicky says and what I say because we were pretty much the only ones there. I wasn't even in the room for that part. I just got the EVP. As a naysayer, Beckett, what would you say to that? Shoot down the credibility first.
I would just say just being devil's advocate. Maybe that's a bad phrase to use on this podcast, but being devil's advocate, I would say, it could be that, or it could be the mics moving in the air, or it's someone, because we don't have any visual.
So defend that one, Vicky.
Actually, we would have
did-
had visual. We would have had our cameras running at the time, so we would have had physical proof of where we were, who was in the room at the time. I understand anybody that's not a true believer, and I know when I listen to EVPs, and my team yells at me all the time because I need to make sure that it's a true EVP before I mark it as one. So I'll listen to something 20, 30 times, have other people listen to it, make sure that it's not someone. And if I find one that I find is one of my team members and I shoot it down, they're like, ugh. But I don't want to say something's paranormal when it's not.
Do you ever get into some like ghost drama with other members of your team where
Not with members of my team, but I can tell you the paranormal field in general is nothing but drama.
there's a lot of drama?
There's a lot of drama.
Well, because one person's got one theory, another person's got another.
Right, and that's the problem is that, and the thing is, this is paranormal, supernatural, which means it's outside the realm of normal and natural. So no one person has the one correct answer.
So you being a medium, can you just pick up on shit just by walking in and okay, what when you look at Beckett, what are you channeling? What do you got? Seriously, I'm very fascinated by this stuff. If you are a psychic medium, are you constantly walking into rooms going, "Oh, he should not eat that chicken later"? Like what? How does it work?
So do you do space? You do spaces and people's?
Yes,
Oh,
it depends.
interesting.
Like when we talk about an investigation, I do an initial walkthrough, and I can tell you walking through if there's energy in there, whether I'm going to find something, some kind of physical evidence. As far as people, I'm also a physical medium. So, like, say for instance, if you had some kind of ailment or something, I might for like 2 minutes get that ailment. So that I can figure out, like, if somebody here had like a massive headache or something, I might get it. But I'm not on at all times. It's only when I need to be.
Okay, can you maybe possibly be on for the podcast? Because that would work out great. Okay, for example, could you get to that place mentally and like, touch Denny's arm and see some type of vision, or does it not work that way? Because here's what the naysayers will say: why is it so convenient, and why is it only when it's good for the psychic person? Right. And they always have an out by saying, "Oh, it comes and goes." How would you answer that?
Because it's not an exact science, it's a gift. And I've had different things, like I can look at a picture sometimes and tell you about that person. I can tell you what's going to happen to them. I can send a text message to someone. Just last week, I was text messaging a good friend of mine who had a nephew. And she said, "What's going on with him?" I said, "Every time I think of him, he's coughing up blood. And he needs to go," and I know nothing about medical stuff. I said he needs to go get like an upper GI or something. She messaged him, and sure enough, the last time he had an issue, he was coughing up blood. This same woman, her niece, she went with a stomach issue to the hospital. I said, no, she needs to go see the gynecologist. It's not a stomach issue.
Something,
no,
okay.
She had cancer.
Oh, no.
And if she had not gone to the gynecologist, it would have gotten out of control, and she wouldn't be here.
All right, so okay, that's interesting. So you cannot you don't feel comfortable looking at somebody right here, right now. Because people want to hear a reading
Right.
of some. Can you sense anything? For example, can you look at me and go, "All right, you're never getting married"? I can tell you that.
You need to focus. That's your problem. Is focus.
I need to focus. I've had many teachers tell me this. Okay, I find the psychic world, and that's definitely a thing, because we were talking about reincarnation last week. In fact, I got kind of a hate email about reincarnation. This is what they said. It's a little lengthy, so I apologize. It says, "Dear Weird Podcast." Oh no, that's the wrong person. This is somebody else. I listened to your podcast and want to say that as a Christian, I was highly offended. There's no talk of aliens in the Bible. God made man, meaning he only made humans. To talk so arrogantly about something you know nothing about is just plain sad. It's sacrilegious to talk about aliens like they're real. I will not be listening anymore. I mean, I don't know what they expected to get by tuning into this podcast.
Yeah. When you start, like we've mentioned it before, you kind of bring up some politic questions, some real like religion questions. Like you're gonna piss off someone on no matter, even if you stay middle of the road.
And I don't mean this to be disrespectful to anyone's religion. My question is this, and don't be offended, please. Just answer it. And I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking about anyone that would be mad. Can it be both? Can you have religion and believe in a religion, but also aliens are part of that? Why is it so out of the world to think of, okay, God made humans, but he didn't make other creatures that could be out in space, but he also made space?
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir with me. I 100% agree. I think that, I was raised Christian, went to PJP.
Yeah.
And, there's certain things that says, humans have only existed for a certain amount of time in the Bible. And I'm no Bible expert by any means. I'm sure I'm going to get fact checked. But,
you will.
Yeah,
I can
that's
hear
for
them
sure.
doing
There's
it now.
scientists that have shown, we've been here for hundreds of thousands of years, So, when you go to Catholicism or Episcopalian or whatever, they have symbolic and literal interpretations of the Bible and different things like that. But I'm totally with you. I agree that, if you believe in that, why can't God have created other things?
I feel like you could. I feel like you could have a religion and still believe in aliens, and it not be sacrilegious. Denny, where are you at? I know you're kind of on the fence about all this.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point there. Because if you think about it, look at how many different types of species of animal just alone there is. I mean, how could there not also be life on other planets?
Now you're preaching to this choir.
I think you can live in both worlds.
What are your thoughts, Vicky? You being in the spiritual world?
I was raised Southern Baptist. My mom taught me that there's angels and demons and nothing in between. However, I come in contact every day that there is something in between. And sometimes when I'm shown the other side, it's shown from a different aspect than what people would imagine.
For example?
For example, you know how when someone says, oh, my grandparents, when they died, did they meet up in heaven? And I may have come in contact with them on the other side. And I'm saying this is just what I've been shown, not saying this is the truth. I'm saying what I've been shown.
This is your reality.
This is my reality. When we go to the other side, there's still work that we need to do. And we
So
have
when you get to heaven,
choices.
you have to work.
If there's things that you need to atone for.
Beckett.
We'll have a podcast up there.
If we're allowed, I hope they say.
It's a lot of work.
Do we have the numbers for a heaven podcast? I don't know. But I'm sorry, as you were, Vicky.
But just, we still have other things to do on the other side. It's not necessarily, and remember, the Bible was written by man. And also think about, if you think that your religion is the only true religion, how egocentric is that? Look at all the different religions in the entire world. And you know what? If you actually study them, they all have common denominators. So there has to be truth within all of them, but not necessarily one religion with one truth.
Everyone here is cool with the heat they may get for the comments they say.
Yep.
Bring it.
I like it. Dangerous Beckett. I love it. Let me read you guys another email that someone got. It said, "Dear Weird Podcast," so it's kind of catching on. You guys were talking about reincarnation on your podcast, and I wanted to chime in. I know for a fact I have been reincarnated. I have gone to several psychics, and they all have said the same thing. I grew up in the 1700s in England. I was a widow who lost her husband in the war. Every psychic has come up with the same name I was in my former life. They say my name was Honus. Oh, geez, that sounds like an old name. Honus, and I was killed trying to protect my troops. To answer your guys' question, yes, reincarnation is real, and I'm living proof of it. Deja vu lets you know where you've been from your former lives.
That's interesting theory.
Interesting theory.
Well, Buddhism believes in that, right? We mentioned that on the last podcast. They believe that depending on what kind of life you live, you come into different levels of the mandala, and the ultimate goal is nirvana. So depending on what kind of life you lead, you'll move up or down.
So, is this person full of shit on this email? Are they just trying to get on the air, or do you think this is a legit thing? What are your thoughts on it?
I think, me being the skeptic on this podcast, I think that's the most legitimate or makes sense theory to me to explain deja vu. I'll get really controversial, maybe transsexuality or certain things where like someone was born a man but actually feels like a woman. Maybe
tied to a past life.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's tied to a past life. You never know. I mean, me having an open mind with this podcast and everything like that, I think you have to be open to all those possibilities.
I've met people who have said they've lived past lives, same type of thing, where they've gone through, and people that I know and grew up with. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I think you could.
I do suffer from deja vu. And not everyone I wouldn't say suffer from it.
I never get it.
I get it. I would say I get it about 3 to 4 times a year, where I'll be walking and all of a sudden, it's the area I've never been, and it's so familiar. What is that?
Could be a glitch in the Matrix.
I mean,
That's true.
you say that. I mean, maybe it is just some memory of mine that's firing something, but it's almost like drinking 3 beers. There's a physical feeling I have. It comes and then it goes.
Right.
And it feels familiar, and I'm like, I know I've been here before. Is it a glitch? Dennys has got a theory that he thinks humans are nothing but computers, and that when it shuts down, I mean, am I allowed to talk about this theory?
Well, yeah, so I wasn't really raised with much of a religion whatsoever. My parents, I told them, a bunch of my friends were Christian, so I was like, hey, why aren't we Christian? And my parents are like, if you want to be Christian, read the Bible and decide if you want to do it.
What a cool way to parent.
And the same thing, like, because I got real into reincarnation. They're like, well, read about it and see if you like it.
They did the same thing with marijuana.
Yeah.
Read about marijuana, and it took.
I'm still experimenting.
Here's some crack. See if you like it.
So I was very open, and a lot of my friends, I had a bunch of friends that were Jewish, a bunch of friends that were Mormon, so I went to their churches to kind of see what it was about and to see what I liked and to see which religion I wanted to go in. And from seeing all the ones, kind of like what you stated earlier, I realized there's a lot of things I liked from a lot of them. I didn't really necessarily feel that one of them was accurate or 100% correct, because, I mean, there's so many variables, and how could there be so many different religions that all share a similar common denominator? And that concept could be wrong. So that overarching concept I like. But I mean, I come from like a science side, like a Beckett over here, and I'm kind of into the theory. I mean, I'm more or less that our energy just transfers when we die. We're kind of like a battery, more or less, that you kind of just cease to exist, and your energy is re-put back into the planet.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I find it very fascinating what every individual thinks happens when you die. I love to hear everyone's, because it's some people think nothing happens. You go dark. Some people think you're with your pets and you're with it. There's so many different theories. And the one thing I never understood is why people get so mad about if it's different.
Right.
Because I don't believe what Beckett believes in. I still want to have a beer with Beckett.
Yeah.
I want to have a couple with him.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept. I think throughout history, until science explains something, there's a vacuum, a void, that humans have to fill. And they fill it with their own information, whether that's Fox News or MSNBC. They're going to take whatever diet they want to consume. And a lot of that comes from their parents and their family and their background. And it becomes tribal, just like a Dolphins fan doesn't like a Patriots fan or a Jets fan on that day. It's just what they believe. They both love football. They both love good hits. They both like beer and hot dogs. But at the same time, it's like that day, like for whatever reason, like they almost will get a fight in the tailgate lot over something so stupid.
It's interesting,
True.
the tribal concept, for sure. No, you see it happen, you're right, just with teams.
The power of belief.
All right, so I'm going to go through a list of all this stuff. I want to see where everyone's at. Give me your mindset where you're at. Bigfoot. Let's go around the room. Believe it? Don't believe it? Crock of shit?
I would say that, I've been watching this Planet Earth documentary that BBC put on Netflix. It'll blow your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
insane.
It's really good.
I
It's
sit
big.
there on my couch with my jaw on the floor, some of the stuff they say that there's an animal that's extinct every day that we haven't discovered based on deforestation of the rainforest. So I would take that and say there's a species, I'm sure. I mean, Bigfoot is probably harder because it's big. And there's a certain region where, they've had a lot of people try to look for it. But you get my point.
I do.
There's a balance.
And the other thing, too, is when you talk about Bigfoot, everyone wants to... When people talk to me about Bigfoot, they always think I'm talking about like a Harry and the Hendersons lovable guy that's going to help wash your car. No, I don't believe that.
Right.
I believe in a species, just like you're saying, that may either A, have a great survival skill set that we don't know about. Maybe it's dying off and there's not that many. Mm-hmm. But I think it's some type of hybrid, like we were talking about last week. Maybe it's a hybrid / human. I don't know.
Right.
But no, I don't think Bigfoot's gonna hey JBird, let's go and hang out. Right. That's not how I view that.
Yeah.
Okay, Vicky, where are you at?
I totally believe in Bigfoot. I think it's an unidentified species. I think it has very human characteristics. I think it's nocturnal. I think it buries its dead.
I do too. I think it buries its dead.
That's
for
why we
sure.
haven't found anything.
Yes.
And it tends to hang out in these areas that are so vast that it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. There's been Bigfoot creature type sightings in all of the 50 states except for 2.
And the tough thing too is when you talk to somebody. We all have friends where they tell you a story. You're like, all right, whatever. your aunt is not Janet Jackson.
Right.
But then you meet somebody that is not lying. They're credible people, and they tell you something like, "Dude, I don't know what it was. It didn't look like a human. It looked like a hybrid of a." People have these stories, and these are people I believe.
Right.
Are they lying to me? Did they just imagine it in their head? Are they on drugs? Dennys, take that.
They're all good. They're all good questions, man. I guess as far as if I was to be on board with Bigfoot 100%, it would have to be that it's a species.
Yeah, you sound like you're not believing Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's a tricky one for me.
Get out.
No. I know you love him.
What's the region Bigfoot would be, in most people's opinion, in your opinion,
Northwest,
the highest concentration? Like if you had to pick an area, you were going to get $1 million if you found Bigfoot. Where would you go?
The Northwest, out there in the Oregon area, Washington area, Canada, parts out there, out in the woods.
What kind of budget does this podcast have? Should we go on a
this
camping trip?
podcast, actually, I think it's costing me money to be on
What's less than
now.
zero?
I think I'm paying to be on. No, we don't have much of a budget, but I would love... See, if I was to do a trip for budget reasons, I would go down to the Everglades.
Yeah.
Because the Florida skunk ape is another...
That's the other thing, because there's Bigfoots in different regions.
Yes.
So that kind of makes it a little trickier, because, you got skunk apes, you got the Yetis, you've got the
Abominable
Bigfoot.
snowman. You have all that.
South America, you got, chupacabras?
Well,
They're a little bit different, but still.
Well, chupacabra's not at all a Bigfoot. That's a different type of animal. But yeah, I see what you're saying about.
Still an unknown species.
It's an unknown species. It's not Bigfoot though. Don't ever say that again.
But you actually don't have to go all the way down to the Everglades in such a vast area. There is a little town over on the west coast of Florida that has a lot of phenomena. In fact, the entire town is built on a graveyard where they kind of did a poltergeist thing where they removed the headstones but not the bodies. And there used to be a government. There was a circus. And I guess the circus went under, and they released the animals into this reserve. And that particular area of Florida, they have numerous Bigfoot sightings of multiple creatures, not just one running around there by himself. They have multiple hauntings, obviously. They have alien sightings. They have mysterious lights. And that's just right over about 4 hours from here.
Would you ever do, if I was like, hey,
an excursion?
Hey, Beckett, me and Dennys, we're going for the weekend. We're going to check out this town. We're going to go. See what we can find. Are you in or are you out?
I'm in.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Vicky, you in?
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
You had me at you and Dennys.
Our intern's over there. She's running our camera. She's like, I'm in too.
That's awesome.
I
I actually
love
have a question for Vicky.
Bring it.
So, the YouTube, that will reach wherever, but we're South Florida based. Being that South Florida, relative to like the Northeast or like Europe or even the Middle East, has like a less of a history of human presence, right?
Right,
like
correct.
maybe a couple generations.
Except for St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, right? Exactly. Our buildings are relatively new all over Florida. Does that make the chance of paranormal less frequent than like a New England property that's
It's a
from
great
like
question.
the 1700s or Europe and London? And
Great question.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I mean, the less amount of time that you've had human interaction on the planet, obviously there's going to be fewer spirits that would be connected to the earth.
Okay.
But St. Augustine being the oldest continuously occupied city in all of the United States. So here in Florida, we can boast. That's one of the most haunted places there are in the country.
That's close. That's budget worthy.
It is.
That's
That's
3.5 hours.
That's a road trip.
But to answer or to kind of pile on with what Beckett's saying is, I don't think you have to have a actual old building to have your place haunted.
No.
I believe you can, you told me that spirits can attach to you. If you
Yes.
are into this stuff, spirits, I believe there's a little girl that is attached to me
Yeah,
at
she was,
every
yeah.
single apartment. Was it you that told me to put the toys in the side of my bed?
Yes.
Okay,
See if
so
she interacted with them.
all right, I swear to you, I'm not lying. This is a real thing. She tells me to put toys next to my bed so the little girl will be happy so she can play with them.
How does this affect your dating life?
Where'd you get the toys?
Honestly, girls have never had a problem with my weird philosophies on life. That's not the issue.
Okay.
There's other issues we can delve in. We'll save that for the Bachelor.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so it'll be 2:00 in the morning. It's just me in the room, and you hear these toys. They were McDonald toys. I remember, like little Lego type thingies. You hear throughout the night those moving around. I'm not lying to you. It really happened, but yet people will say you've got mental issues. You're crazy. It did not happen.
It's like Toy Story.
Yeah, no, I feel like my whole life is like Toy Story.
But honestly, what do you care whether they believe you or not? It's all about your belief system. And people who are more skeptical, no offense, but it seems like you're a little more open than
I'm
what you're
open-minded.
pretending to be.
He is actually
Yeah.
an open skeptic.
Yeah.
I think that for just between the three of us, I play the open-minded skeptic card because that's just more where I am.
Yeah, he's not your
because I haven't
staunch-
had that experience. It's kind of what I was explaining on the last time.
But if you just only think that everything is concrete as this table, you miss out on all the magic in life.
I hear you, but also too though, being on the air and trying to make it gets kind of tiring if you have this great information, this great story, and you're telling people and you want people to open up about that, and then like, nah, you're a loon, get out of here, crazy man, whatever. That gets annoying sometimes, and I see what. Typically, I don't usually let that sway me, but it is nice, for example, that I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about it on a few other broadcasts. At that same house, Vicky, that you did all the investigating, I took a picture of my dog, which I think has concrete proof of a ghost. In the ear of my dog, there's a bearded man's face in the ear. Now, it's on our Facebook, and is she putting it on? Angelica,
It's
thank
up on
you.
KVJ TV.
Awesome. Angelica's putting it up right now. Let me show you this picture, Beckett.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dennis. You stretch while I get the picture. Talk about something you want to talk about.
Have you guys heard of the psychic that does matchmaking? Her name's Deborah something.
Deborah
did-
Graham.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
We've had her before on.
You
yeah,
have her?
for sure. We've had her on back in the day.
So does that dovetail into something similar? Is that any kind of realm of what you would say that you would do? Do you distance yourself from those kind of people, or because her whole thing, I think she had a show Looking for Love, and she kind of does readings
Right.
based on, I don't know what she does it based on, but then she helps matchmake based
Right.
on that.
I've given readings where I've seen who the person was going to meet and saw a general description of that person. And then, I'll get a call a few months later. It's like, he was exactly the way you described him.
interesting.
Everything's, exactly the way you said it. So sometimes I do. If that's what the person's really looking for, I might get a glimpse of what I say a possible future. And because anytime we're on a road, we may choose to go off on a different path. And that will affect what I have seen. I see it this way. But if you go this way, you're not going to get to this reality.
Yeah.
So, but I try not to go too far in the future and don't let people, I don't want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. That makes sense.
Like if I say somebody, you're going to marry a reality star, and then they turn everybody away because they're not a reality star. They've turned,
You're messing with.
you're
yeah.
messing with fate.
The fates.
Do you sense me ever getting married?
How old are you now?
I'm gonna be 40 in a week.
Okay. I don't even picture you getting in, even contemplating anything till you're at least 45. So you got 5 more years.
What is it that? So you say that. I guess the reason why I'm asking that is the process. Look, what are you seeing when you just say that? You're
I think the
that-
hat you're wearing made her add 5 years.
She almost said next year, but
I get it. I completely get it.
No, in that case, when you said that, 45 came into my head.
Okay.
And I've learned to, I used to overanalyze what I see because it's not like somebody comes up to me and says, "Hi, my name's Frank, and you need to tell her blah 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 blah." I may see a person and I have to describe that person to whoever I'm reading, and then they'll give me like mannerisms, and I'll get a phrase here and there, or I'll get an object and things like that, and then we put it all together. Now, when I actually read somebody, I don't look at them. So you know how they always say, "Oh, skeptics are just using body language, they're reading you, they're just looking for your reactions." I actually look away when I'm reading somebody.
And the reason why so many people are skeptic about psychics, no offense to you, Vicky, because I believe you, but there's a lot of shitty psychics out there.
Absolutely.
And it's all about dollar bills, y'all.
Right.
I have
sure.
been a victim of it. I mean, I remember having this one reading of this woman, "Oh, this and that, and you're gonna be the girl with the dark hair. Oh no, don't lose her," and all this stuff, and this hour, and I'm pouring my heart out, and I'm just bleeding with emotions. And she's like, "That was a great reading, Jeremy. I'll see you next week." Like, Jeremy, you can't even get my name right. I'm supposed to believe you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm out at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotta get my name right.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's anyone. That's anyone in radio. Like, there's preachers and priests that live a life of poverty and dedicate their whole life to helping people. And then there's people that are just out there for the financial gain that have nefarious reasons.
Sure.
And yeah.
And that goes for any profession.
It does.
profession.
There's crappy everything for sure. To bring back to this the dog picture, and I apologize to those listening because I've talked about this.
This is
a
your
lot.
dog?
This was my dog who passed away.
As a Weimaraner?
Hell yeah, I love Gary Coleman. He was a chocolate lab.
So cute.
Mix. Oh, he was the best dog. Don't get me started
Yeah.
because I actually might start crying. He passed away from cancer. But look in his ear. I took that picture.
Oh yeah, I see it.
You see it, right?
Yeah.
There's a bearded man in that ear. Now, I brought that to Kevin in Virginia, and they laughed me out of the studio. Laughed me out of it. I brought that picture around at an appearance we did. I asked people I didn't know. I asked people I just met. 90% of people saying, "I see a face in that ear."
Yeah.
I would just like to hear the skeptics. What do you think that could be, other than the typical, "Oh, it's another picture morphing over it"? Because I heard that a bunch.
I would say, being the open-minded skeptic, that it could be what you think it could be, or it could be like people see things in cloud patterns. There's certain things that what light reflects on things. Maybe the light was reflecting that way because of something spiritual, or maybe it just happened to be the physics of how the light was hitting the ear. And that's just my.
I hear you. I like to hear everyone's opinion on this because I don't know. I mean, I can only go with what I think and what I believe. And during that time period, as last week I was talking about, that was during the whole time period where the thing flew off the wall and that the old woman appeared and all that. Now, when I told that old woman story when I was in the shower, and all of a sudden this old, gross-looking woman, not because she was old, she just was gross because she looked gross, but she appeared and then she disappeared, and it was horrifying. 80% of the people thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
I think
Not
Vicky.
me.
Okay.
This is a good way to dovetail or to segue into what I think there's cognitive dissonance in religion and people that are spiritual when it comes to animals in humans.
Okay.
I was in Catholic school, and one of our religious professors in one of my religion class was dead set staunch that animals don't go to heaven. One of the girls in my class just lost one of her dogs. Crying.
And was he like, she's not, all dogs don't go to heaven.
Like that was a
jerk.
literal interpretation of the way that our religion teacher in 10th grade interpreted it. And then I've talked to some people that believe in the supernatural, that think it's, for all living beings, and then some people I've met that think it's just for humans. So I'm just kind of curious.
Well, I was actually taught, for my religious, is that my mom always said that heaven had everything that you love. So I was like, okay, great, my cat's going to be there.
Right.
From a paranormal aspect, I've never been shown animals, but I felt them here,
right,
as in more earthbound than in heaven.
See, I feel like animals, I think they have such a genius to them that we can't even tap into. I love when humans try to talk for animals. They got their own thing going on, and I personally believe if you're a living anything, you go to the next level, whatever that may be.
Right.
That's my personal belief. But I've known many people who say, dogs, animals, they don't go to heaven, only humans. It's just weird how, like you were saying, people who believe even in the same religion have completely different opinions, even about that same religion.
Yeah.
One person believes, they both believe the same religion, but one says, animals don't go to heaven. The other one says, oh yeah, animals definitely go to heaven.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all people's different interpretations, but what I always think, because I know a lot of people with different, I work with a shaman. She has a completely different belief system. And one of the things she says, it doesn't matter what you believe as long as you believe in something. And that gives you a grounding. But the thing is everything's up for interpretation. Everything in the world. I could say hello. Jason could say I was being aggressive. You could say, oh, she was really nice
Well,
when she
honestly,
said hello.
kind of came in here.
So everything's up for interpretation.
It's interesting. You know the Freemasons, which most of the founding fathers were part of?
Oh,
There's
yeah,
all those things
for
with the
sure.
monuments and
Yes.
conspiracy theories, and it's on our dollar bills.
Yep.
Their one rule for admittance, so they have one prerequisite. They have to believe in a higher power.
Really?
You don't have to be Christian, Jewish, Muslim.
You'd have to
Because
believe
a
in
lot of them
something.
were
Higher power.
Satanists.
You,
So
you just have to believe in a higher power. That's from what I understand. My dad was a Freemason. It's like the secret society. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the
Okay,
one
so
prerequisite.
what are you saying now about this?
well, yeah, because I've heard the same thing. They have to have one higher power. Because there's stories, especially out in Colorado, they used to practice like Satan worshiping out there, and it was
Really?
like the upper elitist class.
So, okay, let me ask you about that, Vicky. Do you ever, when you're doing readings or a ghost tour or a ghost investigation, do you ever see like a demon, something where you're kind of freaked out about even going back in there?
Fortunately for me, I don't tend to see the darker spirits. I tend to see the lighter ones, the human ones, the ones that may need more help. I have a team member of mine, Bobby Joe. The shout out for Bobby Joe. Since she
Bobby
come here.
Joe!
Yeah. She sees the dark side. We kind of joke when we're Ebony and Ivory.
So
'cause
there
she
is
sees the other side.
There is a dark side because we've had psychics
Yeah.
come on the air and go, "Oh no, it's all about love and it's not about anything evil."
Right.
And I'm like,
So they're not all Casper, the friendly ghost
No.
out there.
I don't think they're all the because I
You would think you'd have to have both ends of the spectrum.
Well, the thing that flew off my wall, that did not seem like someone that was cool with anything going
Right.
down. It was aggressive. It scared the shit out of me. So I did not get a good feeling. The little girl playing with the toys was never horrified by that.
Right.
Never scared by that. People are like, how can you have a little girl or you assume that there's a ghost little girl living there and it not scare you? Because she was friendly.
Right.
Didn't scare me.
It depends on who you talk to. I mean, some people, they believe, let's say, one person's going to say, oh, 80% of what is out there is demonic. And someone else is going to say, well, 10%. I even had someone tell me one time the chance of coming across something demonic is like winning the lottery twice in 1 year. So as far as 10 years of experience, I've only come across something dark a couple times in 10 years. And that's with multiple investigations.
Somebody asked, they want to know if we would ever do a Ouija board live on the podcast. And if we did, what were your thoughts on that?
Good luck with that.
Really? So are you saying that they're not
No.
real, or are you saying Ouija
No,
board?
I absolutely will not mess with the Ouija board in any way, shape, or form. I can't tell you exactly what every single rule is with dealing with the other side. I know that those violate what I feel is one of the rules in talking to the other side.
You feel
What?
like that's instigating, kind of like poking the bear a little bit?
It's purposely drawing them forth. You're calling them to you. If I go in someone's house, I have a recorder. I'm talking to them, yes, but I'm talking to who's already there. I'm not
Bringing in
purposely
additional.
trying to bring somebody in there to talk to them. And it tends to be, if you deal with a Ouija board, it's not your great aunt murder that comes through. It's going to be something, your lower vibrationals, your lower end demonics that are going to use that board.
It was weird because we had done some work with the Ouija board before, way before I had met you, and the one name that kept coming up was this AZ. AZ, like, who is this? AZ. AZ. I talked about that on the air, and we got a few comments from people who said the same thing happened to them. Have you ever heard of an AZ? What does that mean?
The first thing that comes to my mind when you say AZ, it sounds like from the beginning to the end. It sounds like something that was involved, towards the beginning of creation.
Look
to
at
me,
that. Didn't even think
when
of
I hear
that.
AZ, that's and I didn't know you were going to say that. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. Is it showing you that it's A to Z? It's from
Start
the
to
beginning.
finish.
Yeah.
Oh, but what does that
But
mean,
it
though?
came
They-
from
they
the beginning of time.
Start to.
So if you're talking about something that came from the beginning of time, you're talking about something more celestial, which
Some
is
with
not human.
longevity.
Wow, that's. I gotta
Are you sure it didn't say Jay-Z?
no, no. I don't want to bring out the Ouija board again. No, I know that people. That's one thing. Anytime I talk about a Ouija board, I get hate email. People get really pissed off at me.
That one's
So,
polarizing.
We'll bring it in on next
Yeah.
Wednesday. I want to ask you guys a couple questions really quick. If you died, where Where and who would you want to haunt you? Or where would you haunt if you were the ghost, and if you could have a celebrity haunt you, who would it be that's already passed?
I'd probably haunt the Playboy Mansion.
You would?
That's just kind of an easy go-to.
Okay. So you'd be a pervy ghost?
That would be pervy. I mean, now it's like Maxim magazine, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I've heard
It's
the
not-
Playboy Mansion's gone down anyway.
Yeah.
Would you really? Is that if you were a ghost, what would you haunt? Would it really be the Playboy Mansion?
No. I mean, that's me being a guy in my early 30s.
And the other thing too is, if you are a ghost and you wanted to haunt, let's say if I was a ghost, I died now as a ghost, and I wanted to haunt you, Ryan. Do I just all of a sudden in my ghost brain go, okay, I want to beam me to Beckett's house, and then if I'm done with Beckett, I want to go to the Playboy Mansion now.
Yeah.
Do I go right to? How does that work?
I guess to answer your question, then I'll answer that, is that I would, being a testosterone-filled guy at my age, not married without any kids, I would, my joke is I would go to the Maxim party.
For sure,
I get it.
absolutely.
I get
But
it.
if I had a family and I died as an old grandpa with the beer belly and everything like
You'd wanna
that,
be
I'd
with
want to
your
see my
family.
family, and I want to see them grow up and whatever happened after I died, of course.
Because I think I'd be such an annoying ghost if I was still here on Earth and I'm struggling.
You'd be playing pranks all the time.
Oh, I would be messing with Dennys. I'm gonna be with my sisters.
Well, when you cross over, you're going to have the same personality, so it's a pretty given that's.
It does work that way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it's reincarnation. Are you crossing over with 19 different personalities?
I don't know. I don't particularly. I've never come across anybody or any evidence of reincarnation. So
Okay.
I really can't speak from that one.
That's more of a Beckett. That's kind of your thing as far as what kind of gives you a little bit of peace.
Yeah, a lot of people say I'm an old soul in some ways, and I feel gravitated to certain areas of the world that I've traveled. And then it's funny because I just sent in my DNA to Ancestry.com and did like the 23andMe. And when I was backpacking Europe, I felt this like great gravitation to Germany. And it turns out, I thought my name's Ryan Scott Beckett. I knew it was heavily British. I didn't realize how much German, because that was more on my maternal side. And it was kind of interesting. Maybe it had nothing to do with it. Maybe there was some deja vu that goes into it. But I really felt, kind of home, so to speak.
In Germany.
In Deutschland.
Interesting.
Huh.
Okay, what about you, Vicky? If you're a ghost, you get to haunt.
I want to haunt San Diego just because I love the place.
Okay.
Diego's
And if
awesome.
I had a celebrity haunt me, I was a huge Prince fan.
That would be pretty cool.
That'd be an awesome
Cool songs
ghost.
all the time.
That would be awesome.
And I've actually been dreaming about him like repetitively for 3 weeks now. But because I myself, even though I believe these things, I'm still very skeptical myself. Some people will say, "Oh, he's coming to you and giving you messages in your dream." I'm like, I just miss him.
That's
And,
when you start to
you know,
sound crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Prince is talking to me.
Yeah, so
he gave
I
me a
don't-
message for Ryan.
Yeah. So I don't really go there with that.
MacGyver would be a good ghost to have.
Yeah.
MacGyver?
Oh, he'd be constantly fixing everything for you.
Constantly getting you out of jams with a lighter and a rubber band.
I love it. Denny's?
I'd probably haunt the YMCA, just because I feel like you could make a lot of echoes. It'd be real creepy for the kids.
All right.
And if I could if I was haunted by any celebrity, probably Peter Falk, man. I loved Columbo. He was my favorite.
Nah, we got to end the podcast.
No, come on, Columbo's a great guy.
He loves Columbus.
I do. It's one of my favorite shows.
Loves him.
Peter Falk's awesome.
McConaughey would be a cool ghost to be haunting you. Just be like, it's gonna be all right.
We got to kill him first, though. He's still alive.
Yeah, he's still kicking.
So we're going to wrap it up. You guys want to add anything?
Well, intern Angelica had a story.
Oh, yeah. Bring her in really quick. She does, I believe, is this demon stuff?
I don't know if she does demon stuff, but she's got a good story.
Bring her on in.
Something of the paranormal.
Gotcha. Yeah, intern.
Should we ask Vicky to do Dennys and I in terms of marriage, or
Yeah, I mean,
that has to happen organically?
I'm actually I don't want to overwhelm you with the psychic questions, but
Right.
if you say you're a psychic, people are very self-absorbed. They want to know about their life and what's going on.
I think a lot of people are cautiously approaching that. Like, we want to know, but then we don't want to know at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah, do you see, okay, for example, do you see anything that I need to really watch? Do you see any warning signs around me that I'm like, all right, I got to watch my P's and Q's?
With you, I always get a thing. Well, first of all, with focus, and I think you also need to always watch your diet.
What do you mean by focus?
Because I think you kind of run from here to here and there, and the other. And I think sometimes you kind of lose yourself in all of that rushing around. I think you need to do a little more reflecting.
So you think
quiet
I
time.
rush around too much, going from here
Right.
to here, and that's why relationships fail?
Right. And you also need to spend a little more time doing some introspective.
Like meditation sounds like it'd be great for you.
And I do all that stuff, and I really do consider myself someone that thinks about stuff. But I know what you mean. A lot of times, I mean, my diet's terrible right now, and because we are always doing crap for the show, always
Right.
doing stuff, and it's a good reminder to hit the reset button and go. There's other stuff in the world other than your work.
Right. And I definitely see some stomach issues with you in the future, so just keep an eye on that.
Like what?
I'm getting like this bad stomach thing, so
Well, that's
just watch what you eat.
horrifying. All right, well, that won't be on my mind at all today. Oh my god! All right, we've got our lovely intern. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Your name?
Angelica,
Where are you from?
California.
She's been one of our best interns, if not our best intern of all time. She's been awesome. We're trying to get her
Her voice is so sweet. It's like it sounds like the voice of an Angelica.
She's been awesome, and we're trying to get her a job here at the station. So, and this is your last week, isn't it?
Yes, Friday will be my last day.
We're very sad about this, but you have a story. Please give it to us.
Yes, so when I was little, I lived in a townhouse. The townhouse was really, really creepy. And I was going to bed one night, and I just hear rumbling movement under my bed. And so I look underneath, and it was a cat. So then in my head, I realized, like, I didn't have a cat. So I got out of bed, I turned on the light, and I looked back underneath, and it was gone. And the next morning, I found out that that was the day of anniversary of my cat that died a year ago.
Wow.
So I had no clue what it meant, or even knew that pets can come back and
We were
haunt
just
you.
talking about pets.
So that brings me back to my question with the whole pets.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was stalling just to get that cat sound there. That's crazy. I like I said earlier, I completely believe in the animals crossing over with whatever they're going.
Yeah, even though I'm not super religious and I was raised Christian, like I said, and I'm the token skeptic with an open mind on the podcast, I believe in a spirit, like a soul, if you will.
Sure.
And I believe that, like, I can feel when I walk home and my dogs aren't at my home because they're at my mom's house or whatever, the energy in my room. I mean, that's outside of the physical licking and wagging the tails. Just the energy in my whole, like, the vibrations and everything are different.
Just a side note, has nothing to do with the actual podcast. Your hair looks amazing. What kind of product do you put in that thing? I mean, look at the shine. It's so full. What do you do to your hair?
It's an annoying answer for when I say this, but I don't do anything.
That's so annoying. That's so annoying.
In high school, I had like the spiky hair. I put the product, all that in it, and quite honestly, like the less I do, the better.
It looks great.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Anybody have anything else you want to add on? Do you have anything else you want to say?
Were you really
No.
close with your cat?
Yeah, I was really close. It was a really good cat.
What was the cat's name?
His name was Romeo.
Romeo.
And
Sad how he died. But
Romeo.
Did the cat look?
It looked just like it
Just
was
like
dark
Romeo.
and everything. So, but I didn't really click until the next morning until my mom told me.
A lot of times it doesn't click until the next morning.
If you don't mind me asking, was it a tragic death or was
It
just
was a
an
tragic, yeah,
it was.
unexpected.
Jeez, Beckett, really, you're bringing. No, I'm just
I don't know. Because I wonder if that sometimes, like, that would be a question I'd direct to Vicky. Like, is that sometimes affect, the occurrence of spiritual events based on the death?
Some people believe in the occurrence of like an anniversary haunting, where if something tragic's happened, same time every year, you're going to get some kind of reoccurrence. Some people believe that's not an actual spirit, but it's that our energy is imprinted in the earth, and for whatever reason, whenever the conditions are right, it's like you press play, and it replays itself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Go ahead, please. If you are struggling, I'd like you to plug all your
Yeah.
stuff, Vicky, because I know
Yes.
there's people out there that would like your services. Now, do you charge for a ghost?
No, for paranormal investigations, absolutely not. And for anybody who's listening who is a skeptic, if you want to contact me at contact@point paranormal.com, and you want a free 15-minute reading with me on the telephone, for those of you that think that I'm, just selling a bag of goods, just
'Cause
mention.
there will be people out there that say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just mention this podcast, and I'll give you gladly 15 minutes for free. I charge nominal anyway for readings, very, very little. In fact, I did them for 2 years for absolutely free, and I would spend hours on the phone because it's not just a reading. A lot of times it's almost like a little therapy session that happens with, what comes across.
Interesting.
That's very, very cool. And people, they can email us at kvjshow.com. They can also email me through Facebook, Twitter, get a hold of Dennys. There's 8 million ways to get a hold of us. Hey, Dennys, can you do me a favor? Yeah, thank you. We're having some technical issues, and I'm trying to listen to you guys and try to deal with the technical issues. But so if anyone is struggling with what you're going home and you think there's a demon underneath your bed, Vicky, they will do all the stuff they did at my house, and then at that point, it's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. So.
Right, and it's all for free, and we give you a full report. We not only go and we give you any EVPs we find, any photographic evidence. We also do research on the property. We'll look at anyone who's ever lived there in case we get a name to see if we can patch that up. We even call the police and find out if there was any incidences of, say, drug use, violence, murders, anything else in that area.
Can you do if I asked you to come to my house, is that okay because it's my house and I asked you to come there, or how does that work?
What, as far as the ghost thinking? Because
When-
when I
yeah, when we
warned you
start-
about paranormal activity.
Yeah, when we started the podcast, you said you can't do it.
Right. No, that's different. You're not the one talking to them. You're not the one interacting.
So it's fine if
somebody else.
It's fine as it's my
Right.
house. It's just that it's
Right.
you. Okay, that makes
Right.
sense.
And it's very fascinating.
'Cause my house was built in 1925.
Oh, dude,
cool.
it's such a recipe for ghosts. It really is. And they got all the cool, ghost machines. Whether you believe it or not, it looks really, really
Well,
cool.
I'm a nerd, and I went to the courthouse and went on the microfiche film, and I printed out every single deed holder back to 1925 that owned
Cool.
my house. It's crazy.
A lot of the history. A lot of times, there's old buildings. They have
Right.
some ghosts and spirits lurking in there. So, give your Twitter handle out.
Ryan S. Beckett. Yeah, anything you guys have, like questions, things, that if anyone comes from my side where they maybe have an open mind, but they're, skeptical, and they want me to bring a certain point of view or questions, just you hit me on Twitter.
And do you have any social media, Angelica?
Instagram.
Go give it.
Angel9394.
Yeah, Angel 9394. And I am at Jason Bigfoot, and Dennys is at producer Dennys.
What was that? What's that?
Thank you guys for tuning in to I guess it's the Whatever and Weird podcast. Do we like that?
I like it.
I like the Whatever and Weird podcast. Thank you guys. We love you all, and Bigfoot is real.
What you should be, 'cause